Okay, so here we're going to start with an example. We're going to find the equation of the line through the points 2, 3, and 7, 5. Okay? So the first thing that we're going to do, so first let me tell you how we're going to solve this. We're going to solve this by using the point-slope form of an equation. But before we do so, we're going to find, so the first step is we're going to solve for the slope of the line, okay? So step 1, find the slope. Okay? So we know that to find the slope that goes through, to find the slope of the line that goes through two given points, we're given the 2 points here. We use our equation m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And what we do is we plug in our variables from the point that we're given. Okay? So in this case, we can call this x1, y1. We can call this x2, y2. Okay? And then we can plug in. Now, by the way, one of the things I want to emphasize to you here is that what I want you to observe is that I wrote down my formula first without plugging in, and I'm about to plug in. And I want you guys to do that too, because it'll help to cement this formula in your brain, okay? And that will help you to use it automatically should you need to use it under some duress, okay? So y2 is 5 minus my y1 is 3, okay? My x2 is 7 minus my x1 is 2, okay? 5 minus 3 is 2. 7 minus 2 is 5. And so we can conclude that the slope is 2/5. Okay? So now the step 2 is we're actually going to calculate the equation of the line. Okay? Right? Okay. So now we're going to calculate the equation of the line. So to calculate the equation of the line, we know that we recall, here is my point slope form, the equation of a line going through x naught, y naught, which is a particular point on the line with slope m, is y minus y naught equals mx minus x naught. Okay? So we're going to plug in here. Now, let me see here. Now, for the point slope form, I can use any point that's on the line. Okay, so for example, I can use this one. So that's what the one we're going to use here. And I know it might be painful, the excruciating detail I'm going through this, but I want to make sure that when you guys see me do this, that you guys can see where everything's coming from, so you guys can fully understand it, okay? And so that I can leave as little doubt as possible in the execution. And we know that in our step 1, we got our slope m equals 2/5. Okay? Okay. So now we can plug in. Y minus y naught equals to m x minus x naught. Okay, guys? Now we're going to plug in our points. Y minus 3 equals to 2/5 x minus 2. See? Y minus y naught equals m x minus x naught. Okay? So if I were to stop here, this would be my point slope form. Okay? Okay? But I'm going to go through a little bit of algebra here to write it in slope-intercept form. Okay? So for example, here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute the 2/5 into here. So I'm going to get y minus 3 is equal to 2/5 times x is 2/5 x. 2/5 times negative 2 is going to be negative. Let me erase this here. It's going to be negative 4/5. Let me demonstrate that for you over here, okay? So if I have 2/5, okay, times 2, okay, we know it's going to be 2/5 times negative 2. So a positive times a negative is a negative. So that's why it's going to be negative. But I'm going to calculate what 2/5 times 2 is to convince you that the value will be 4/5. Right? So I know if I have 2/5 times 2, I can rewrite this 2 as 2 over 1. So that's 2/5 times 2 over 1. Okay? Now when I multiply fractions, the numerator of the product is the product of the numerators of the fractions that are factors, and the denominator of the product is the product of the denominators of the factors. That is to say that I'm going to multiply the numerators to get the numerator of the product, and I'm going to multiply the denominators to get the denominator of the product. 2 times 2 is 4, 5 times 1 is 5. And that's why it's 4/5. Okay? So now, with that behind us, I need to get the y by itself if I want to have slope-intercept form. Because remember, the slope-intercept form is y equals 2mx plus b. Okay? So what I want to do is I want to get the y by itself here. Okay? Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna, to get the y by itself here, I have to add 3 to this side and add 3 to this side. On the left-hand side, negative 3 plus 3 disappears. That disappears the 3. So I have y equals, and so now I have y equals 2/5 x, and then negative 4/5 plus 3. So negative 4/5 plus 3, I can write that as, first of all, these are not both fractions. So I have to make 3 into a fraction. So this will be negative 4/5 plus 3 over 1. Okay? Now I have to do something to have them get the same denominator so I can add them. Okay? Because we know that if we have two fractions with the same denominator, then we can simply add the numerators, right? So I know that 1 times 5 will give me 5. So if I multiply the bottom here by 5, I'll be able to have the same denominator. And in order to preserve the value, I'm going to multiply the top by 5 also. Okay? This can be then written as negative 4/5 plus 3 times 5 is 15. 1 times 5 is 5. Then I have negative 4/5 plus 15/5. So that's going to be negative 4 plus 15 is 11 over 5. Okay? And it's positive, right? Because the 15 over 5 is larger in absolute value than the negative 4/5. So the sum is going to be positive. So plus 11/5. Right? Okay. And so if you notice here, I have gotten it into this form. That is actually our slope-intercept form. And we recall that the equation of a line in slope-intercept form with slope m and y-intercept b is y equals mx plus b. So from this calculation, we can now see, we've now learned something that we didn't know before. We already had calculated the slope explicitly for the line going through the 2 points that were given to us. But now, from our calculations, we have gotten the b, the y-intercept. So we know if we were to graph this, it would cross the y-axis at 11 over 5. Okay? And then, let me see here. And now, let me see what else we're going to do. Oh yes, so of course, since here it said find the equation of the line through the 2 points that were given, we could have stopped right here because we already got an equation of the line. With a little bit of algebraic manipulation, we got the slope-intercept form. And now, just real briefly, so again, getting this slope-intercept form was not necessary. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I could transform from this form into the quote standard form, okay? And of course, like, to be fully honest, this is not actually necessary often, okay? We don't have to do this kind of calculation. But I want to show it to you so that, like, you can see how it can be done. Okay? Now, for example, I can notice how here this x, it has this 5 in the denominator. This 11 has the 5 in the denominator. I'm going to multiply the whole equation by 5. That means I'm going to multiply the left and the right by 5. So on the left, if I multiply by 5, I just get 5y. On the right, when I say that I'm going to multiply the equation on the right by 5, it means I'm multiplying the whole thing by 5. So to put it very explicitly, it is as if I'm putting the whole right-hand side in a parenthesis and multiplying that whole expression by 5. Now the 5 will distribute to each term, okay? 5 times 2 fifths x, 5 times 11 fifths. And what you're going to notice is that the 5 is going to cancel with the 5 on the bottom in both terms. So this is going to simplify in the next term to 5y equals 5 times 2 fifths will be 2, so it'll be 2x plus, and then 5 times 11 fifths will be plus 11. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to subtract the 5y to the other side. I'm going to subtract the 11 to the other side, and I'm going to get negative 11 equals to 2x minus 5y. And I can just reverse the way it looks here, and I get here 2x. Let me write that here, okay? Well, let me write it here. So therefore, 2x minus 5y equals negative 11, okay? And that finally is our line equation that goes through these 2 points in standard form, okay? And each of these, so this is our standard form. Let me put this in a little box here so that we can celebrate. Okay. And again, all of this was not strictly necessary. Okay. But I just wanted to walk you all through it so you can see how it can be done. And so that, you know, to do it in a thorough way. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this first example, and we're going to continue with some more examples. Thank you.